Rumors are swirling that Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston are having an affair, and that is the real reason that Michelle has been MIA. The real reason that she didn't attend Jimmy Carter's funeral, and the real reason that she's not attending the Trump inauguration.
I'm back to RETHINK to the E, and today we're going to be taking a look at these TikTok videos. Trump got inaugurated yesterday, and I don't know, I've been seeing a lot of these really weird videos, so we're going to take a look at that. Try to get to 1,000 likes this video. And if you're not subscribed, remember to subscribe.
Mark Zuckerberg, you need to stop. Bro didn't even wait one full day till after the TikTok ban to launch a competitor to CapCut. If you didn't know, ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, also owns the most popular short-form editing app, which also briefly got banned yesterday. So Zuck not only wanted to take TikTok users, but now they're also launching a short-form editing app called Edits. I'm sorry, but read the room. Not only is the timing of this announcement just cold-blooded, but we are so tired of the copying. I mean, I never thought I'd see the day when America is creating knockoffs of Chinese products. And for anyone keeping track, that's now buying Instagram, copying stories from Snapchat, boomerangs from Fahoto, reels from TikTok, subscriptions from you-know-where, threads from Twitter, and now edits from CapCut. And I probably missed some.
I swear, it's almost like Zuckerberg wants to create a monopoly. Like, he just wants to control everything. Like, I swear that's how it's going. And that's so annoying because I literally use CapCut. Like, these videos that you guys watch, I edit it on CapCut. One of the greatest editing platforms, I gotta say, out of every other editing platform I ever used. And it's really not even that much money.
Ooh, look at that. It says TikTok. My, what is that all about?
First, we have Alaska, sir. This is an executive order relating to unleashing Alaska's potential as an energy reservoir for the entire nation.
And what about Anwar?
I believe that would be included in aspects of the order.
So we're opening up Anwar.
On the TikTok piece, President Trump, you and your members of your team now used to warn about the dangers of TikTok spying on Americans. What changed that you're not worried about that anymore?
Well, it depends on the deal. I mean, I may not do the deal or I may do the deal. TikTok is worthless. Worthless. If I don't approve it, it has to close. I learned that from the people that own it. If I don't do the deal, it's worthless. Worth nothing. If I do the deal, it's worth maybe $1 trillion. $1 trillion. So if I do the deal I'm talking about doing it for the United States. If I do the deal for the United States, then I think we should get half.
The TikTok CEO.
In other words, I think the U.S. should be entitled to get half of TikTok. And congratulations, TikTok has a good partner. And that would be worth, could be $500 billion or something. It's crazy. The numbers are crazy. But it's worthless if the president doesn't sign, then it's worthless. If the president does sign, it's worth maybe $1 trillion. So I think, like a joint venture, I think we would have a joint venture with the people from TikTok. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's one of many ideas I've had.
The CEO now, did he say that he's open to that idea?
Who?
The CEO of TikTok is around.
Oh, I think he'd probably like it. Because he's got nothing. I mean, they really have nothing. It's passed in Congress. It gives the president a right to make a deal or to close it. And we have 90 days to make that decision. But I could see making a deal where the U.S. gets 50% of TikTok, polices it a little bit or a lot, depends on them. But remember, they make telephones in China. They make all sorts of things in China. Nobody ever complains about that. Here they're complaining about this. There's so many different products made in China, and nobody ever complained about it. The only one they complain about is TikTok. And TikTok is largely young people. I guess I have a warm spot for TikTok that I didn't have originally. But, I went on TikTok, and I won young people up by 36%, Peter. And Republicans typically don't do too well with young people. But it's a different Republican Party.
Would the U.S. government buy a portion of TikTok then, or how would it get that 50%?
No, you'd take 50% of TikTok for the approval that TikTok could continue in business. And they'd have a great partner. The U.S. would be their partner. But the U.S. essentially would be paid for doing that half of the value of TikTok.
Would there be a private sector owner as
Could
well in
be,
the
yeah,
US?
could be a lot. Tell you what, every rich person has called me about TikTok.
Who wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
Because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know. I think, to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But you know, when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half?
Sir, if they don't take until 90 days, will you shut them down?
Does Biden ever do news conferences like this? How many news conferences, Peter, has he done like this?
Like this?
None.
0.
And it would be 0 for the next infinity. For infinity, it would be 0.
But when you plan to talk to President Musk, going to help implement the executive orders? I think you mentioned
No,
implementation.
Elon, no. Elon's very busy sending rocket ships up to various places with lots of satellites on them.
What is your reaction to the confirmation of Marco Rubio, and what does it mean for Latin America?
Which one?
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio. You said Marco. Marco
Rubio.
Yeah, he's. I think he's great. I think Marco's doing a fantastic job. I think he's going to get a lot of votes. I think he's going to be at 90% or something. I mean, I'm hearing very good people know him. They know him in the Senate. They know he's good. He's doing a good job. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know what's going to happen with that. He's got some very strong ideas, though, Marco.
You signed the
Which
TikTok
sign,
order,
Mr.
right?
President?
Did you sign the TikTok order?
Yeah.
Yes, that was just.
President Marco Rubio said yes to you.
I was laughing because he always just disses Biden like every slight chance. You guys always got to say something about Biden. I'm dead. That was funny. But like, at least he's being smart about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, taking the money from TikTok, that's like $500 billion to the U.S., which is crazy. I didn't even know TikTok was worth like $1 trillion. That's insane. That's damn near more than Apple.
A disabled former child actor tragically died in the Los Angeles wildfires despite his mother's attempts to save him. 32-year-old Rory Sykes was living in a cottage on his mother's Malibu property when the building caught fire. Unable to carry her son, his mother reportedly tried to extinguish the flames with a garden hose before driving to a nearby fire station for help. By the time help arrived, Rory had already perished. Born blind with cerebral palsy, Rory appeared on Australian television as a child, sharing his story in hopes of inspiring others. He is among at least 11 people confirmed dead in the ongoing wildfires in Los Angeles.
Whatever picture you see first reveals what kind of person you are. Up first is this picture right here. If you just see a normal explosion, then you're the kind of person that gets scared very easily. You also hate fighting and try to avoid any conflict. But if you saw the couple kissing first, you're the kind of person that really wants a relationship, and you constantly think about your loved ones. Up next is this picture right here. If you saw a woman's face and a baby's face first, it means that you are very warm and loving, and you're probably the nicest person out of your friend group. But if you saw the man's face in the tree first, you're a very energetic person, and you're always on the move trying to go do something.
This guy said that he worked as a funeral director assistant for about 10 years, and he had a scary incident happen to him at home. He woke up one night needing to use the restroom. There was a long hallway to the restroom, and he would usually walk in the dark since he had done it many times. This one instance though, as he began to walk in the hallway, it felt cold in the hallway, and then he felt a rush of cold air hit him. He then felt something swirl around his body, grab his neck, and pick him up where he was trying to balance himself on his toes. He couldn't breathe or move, and he heard growling. In his right ear, he heard it speaking in a god-awful voice. He tried to recite the Our Father prayer, but he couldn't speak and the words weren't coming to him. He said that after the ghost/demon spoke to him, it let go and he fell to the floor. He was shaking and he wanted to scream to wake up other family members, but he didn't because they all had work and school the following day. He asked many priests about the situation. The common theme was that it may have been something demonic.
Morbid Facts, Part 475. Earlier this year, 21-year-old Texas woman Juniper Bryson was charged with attempting to sell her newborn baby on Facebook. She agreed to sell her newborn to the highest bidder, but was only hoping for $200. Bryson was messaged by various people and told them she just needed enough money to pay for her DoorDash food and to move into a new apartment. She was reported to police by a couple she blocked on Facebook for asking if they could adopt her baby the legal way. Studies have shown that obese drivers are 80% more likely to die in a car accident than drivers who are not overweight. Earlier this year, 2 Brazilian influencers drowned during a yacht party after the boat was capsized by a massive wave. The women likely would have survived the tragedy had they worn life jackets, but reportedly didn't want to ruin their tans in selfies. If you were to remove all the blood vessels in your body and tie them together, they would stretch across the entire circumference of the earth 2 to 4 times. In 2023, a woman's leg became trapped at the end of a movable walkway at an airport in Thailand. Her leg was so deeply stuck that emergency crews had no choice but to amputate it below the knee in order to free her. She was quickly rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors were unable to reattach her leg.
That's crazy. I see those things all the time at the airport or like anywhere, even in Vegas. Yo, imagine your legs get caught in that and you could just never get it back. You're just amputated. It's right there. You're done. Hey, I mean, at least you'd be a millionaire. You know what I'm saying?
I'll never look at Pokemon the same after this. An unknown perpetrator recently managed to hack into Game Freak's documents and released countless files, including future game data, personal info about employees, and most notoriously, lore stories about sexual relationships between humans and Pokemon. One such story involves a young girl who is kidnapped by a Typhlosion disguised as a human that apparently proceeds to grape the child and get her pregnant with a human Pokemon hybrid. Another story involves a group of humans that capture and torture a bunch of slack-offs. One of the women in the group is later kidnapped by the slack-off tribe and impregnated by their slacking leader, eventually giving birth to her own slack-off baby. Similar disturbing stories detail human relationships with Lapras, Rapidash, and Octillery. Game Freak has reportedly apologized to everyone affected by the data breach. But it's unclear why these particular unsettling stories were ever written in the first place, let alone found among Game Freak's files.
This is the most dangerous demon that you could summon right now. The demon's name is Zozo. It also goes by Zaza, I just thought I'd mention that. This demon is most commonly summoned by Ouija boards, but because of what Zozo does to you, you really do not want to summon it. You see, when Zozo is successfully summoned, he has just one goal. And that goal is to possess the person that summoned him. Once possessed, he will drive you to madness. And then if Zozo is successful, your life will be over, if you get what I'm saying. Now, contact with the demon Zozo has actually been documented over the years. In 1951, a boy named Ronald Doe was allegedly possessed by Zozo after using a Ouija board. And as recently as 2019, a YouTuber named Kyle allegedly made contact with Zozo, and some extremely creepy stuff ended up happening after his contact with the demon. Now, I personally will be attempting to contact Zozo on live tomorrow. Here's the event if you want to check it out. I'll be using a Ouija board and I'll be seeing if I can actually get Zozo to show up.
That dude is so funny for that. He goes, okay guys, you do not want to summon this demon. And then he goes, okay guys, I'm going on live and I'm summoning this like, what are you doing, bro?
Man, I knew it, y'all. So it came out that the reason why this man unalived his mother, the mother of his child, and his cousin is because he was DL. And it came out and for somebody found out. I think at one point maybe the baby mama found out and the information just kind of spread it. But according to what they're saying, he was actually on his way to unalive someone else. Now this all happened within the time frame of 9 hours, y'all. He was on his way to unalive another person. After he unalived 3 women, he was on his way to unalive someone else when he got into a standoff with law enforcement and ended up being unalived because he was on a rampage. This is sad, y'all. This is sad. Be your true self. Be your true self. Why would you unalive people? Because you're afraid to be who you are. And when people find out what you're doing, you unalive them. According to what happened, y'all, this man, according to what I looked into, it has been confirmed that this man was DL. It's just so sad. Rest in peace to his mother, his cousin, and the mother of his child, who was pregnant.
First thing I wanted to say is, like, I could not take her seriously. The amount of time she said unalive, it was like, you know, she went through some TikTok ban trauma, bro. I used to do that. Like, they be sometimes on TikTok, they're so sensitive with certain words that at certain points, like, your whole video will get taken down and you can get like a strike. So when you hear these people say like unalive, it basically means like die, they got killed, you know what I'm saying? Pretty simple. When you heard she said what, DL, that means he's down low, which pretty much means he's like gay on the low. But yeah, these apps, they get kind of weird with certain words. Like, that's why you hear people sometimes don't say the full word. They'll be like he unalived themselves or something like that instead of the other word. They'll say essay instead of what it actually is. They'll say grape, like, you know, the fruit.
She escapes with a second to spare. The drama unfolded at 2 in the morning when the woman arrived home from a long day at work. She says she noticed the stranger lurking outside her building.
So the 50-year-old woman who was seen in that video has to this day still remained unidentified. And on September 23rd, 2021, she was returning home when this man suddenly decided to charge at her. The woman later claimed that she had seen the man and a friend hanging out acting sketchy at the base of her apartments, and that if she hadn't have locked her door the same way that she did and gotten in the nick of time, she still doesn't know what could have happened. I mean, this video is honestly horrifying. I can't imagine someone chasing me to my apartment door and barely being able to lock the door in time to keep them outside. Who knows what this person would have done if they had gotten into the apartment with this woman? It's really frightening. So police at first had no idea who this guy was, but they eventually identified him as 42-year-old Orisha Lucky. And he had 37 prior arrests on his record before that night. 37 different arrests. So after Orisha was arrested, he was charged with attempted burglary, harassment, and criminal trespassing. But it's still, that video is just so frightening, and it really is scary to think of what could have happened if she didn't get the door closed and locked just in time.
They were in the McDonald's drive-thru when an argument would turn deadly. 37-year-old Stephanie McCrae was from Daleville, Alabama, and had 2 sons. She was also married to 37-year-old Ricky McCrae, and they had been married for some time. Their marriage had a lot of happiness and love, but it also had periods of strain and conflict. On July 13th of 2024, the couple was at a McDonald's drive-thru. Stephanie was driving and Ricky was on the passenger side. An argument started between the two, and workers at the McDonald's could hear the argument through the intercom system. As Stephanie reached the pickup window after placing her order, she told the employee to please call the police because her husband had a gun. Ricky, who was in a fit of rage, shot Stephanie 3 times in that drive-thru line, killing her instantly. The gunfire was heard by the employees, and they closed the drive-thru window immediately and fled for their safety. Once Ricky had shot Stephanie, he fled on foot. Surveillance footage from nearby businesses had captured a man fitting the description of Ricky running away from a McDonald's wearing red shorts and a white tank top. Ricky was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife. Police say that the two were in an off-again, on-again relationship, and they had just discussed the relationship before the incident. Ricky claims he is not guilty and he was home the whole time and it wasn't him. As of right now, Ricky remains in custody awaiting further court proceedings.
What if you had a fetus growing inside of your skull right now and you had no idea? In China, an unborn twin was found inside of the skull of a 1-year-old child. This led to more research in fetus in fetu, where the twins fuse and then only one of them kind of undergo development. And in this case, the other one's in their skull. Also, as you can see behind me, this is what they pulled out of the brain. It's about the size of a hand from what I can tell. Maybe a little smaller than a hand. I see some fingers up over here. But that's still pretty significant in size to be inside of your brain like that. And the x-rays just look wild. I'm curious to see how this affected the other twin. Did it have any cognitive impairments on the other one? Did it hurt at all or something? I'm just surprised the other twin's body, while undergoing development, didn't dissolve the twin and kind of consume them. That's apparently a thing that happens when twins fuse. The other one kind of absorbs the weaker one. But this thing looks like it came out of Stranger Things, like season 2 when Will like puked that thing into the sink. Also looks like a sandworm from Dune or Jabba the Hutt. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
That thing looked insane, dude. What? I'm pretty sure the kid probably felt something weird in their head. That's why they got the x-ray scan, because he probably was like, why does my head hurt so crazy? And he definitely was cognitively impaired.
So I found these conspiracy theories that are so believable, they actually might be true. Part 2. Number 1. An unknown super predator in the ocean. There was a 3-meter long great white shark that was tagged. 2 hours later, a fast-paced dive was recorded, and it was too deep for great whites. There was a temperature shift that went from 46 Fahrenheit to 78. That is a temperature that can only be achieved inside the belly of another living animal. Now, we all know that killer sharks kill sharks, you know, orcas. But let's not forget that orcas are technically whales. They breathe air. They don't go that deep into the ocean. Number 2, The Simpsons 9/11 attack prediction. In 1997, The Simpsons released this episode predicting a 9/11 event at the World Trade Center in New York. When they reached, there were Jews outside staring at the towers waiting for something to occur. This was released 4 years before the actual incident. No comment. Number 3, Courage, the Cowardly Dog. Muriel and Eustace were turned into puppets at the end of the first season. He had full control over his owners, and all the other episodes were completely the dog's imagination. My childhood just got destroyed. This one shocked me the most. Number 4, Amber Heard's lawyer. In the 2013 film premiere of The Long Ranger, there was a fan holding a camera hoping to get a picture with the star himself. So the theory is she was in on it the whole time. She's obsessed with Johnny. This is dangerous. What's the creepiest conspiracy theory that you heard of?
That Simpsons 9/11 one gotta be... That's too coincidental. It's gotta be like some facts behind that.
This case was brought to my attention as not a lot of people are talking about it. 27-year-old Gahar Reamer Weeb, who went by George, and if I mispronounce that name, please correct me in the comments, he was found deceased in a field back in June of 2020. His remains were so brutal that it took investigators 10 days to identify who he was. After they had made the identification, they quickly deemed that this was a homicide. After making their first arrest, they quickly were told that George was tortured for 3 consecutive days until he took his last breath. 3 more arrests have been made since then. The last arrest was actually just last week. From what reports have said, they believe that only 4 people were involved, and so far 4 people have been arrested, so I believe that George's family can finally seek justice.
I don't know about y'all, but this is more than just a little spooky. Pure evidence.
Hello, my friend. Those aren't skulls discovered in Africa, but they are still very cool, as these are actually skulls created by an artist named Takeshi Yamada. He is known for creating some very interesting things. I love his creations. And of course he's created a range of very interesting skulls. As always, come talk to me on Discord. We've been having some cool discussions today, and I've been sharing some AI art. This is an AI depiction of a jinn from Islam and Arabian folklore. To talk on my Discord, check pinned.
They had no idea that this casual trip to the Palace of Versailles would turn into something that defied all explanation. Somehow they managed to travel more than 100 years into the past and found themselves surrounded by people and landmarks that no longer existed. On the newest episode of My Dark Corner, my new podcast, I talk about the Moberly Jourdain incident. If you've never heard about this, it's a case of possible time travel. Charlotte Moberly, the principal of St. Hugh's College in Oxford, decided to take a trip to France and visit the vice principal candidate, Eleanor Jourdain, in order to see if they'd be a good fit working together. After spending days exploring various landmarks, they decided to take a trip to the Palace of Versailles. They weren't expecting much. They thought it would be a pretty uneventful day, but things took a very strange turn. As they wandered deeper into the gardens in search of the Petit Trianon, the atmosphere shifted. The air felt heavy, the sounds of tourists disappeared, and the world around them seemed different. They passed several people dressed in old-fashioned clothing, like 2 men who wore gray-green coats and 3 cornered hats. At first, they assumed these men were gardeners, but something about the scene didn't feel right. As they walked on, they felt an overwhelming sense of anxiety and depression, like they'd stepped into a dreamlike haze. Then, as they neared what they believed to be the Petit Trianon, Charlotte noticed a woman sitting near the terrace sketching. Now, this woman looked eerily similar to Marie Antoinette. She was wearing an oversized hat and a light summer's dress that looked centuries out of place. Just as suddenly as this strange dreamlike situation started, it was over. They finally reached the Petit Trianon and everything seemed normal again. Tourists, wedding parties, the usual hustle and bustle. But when Charlotte and Eleanor finally compared their accounts, they realized that they hadn't seen the same things. Charlotte saw the woman that looked like Marie Antoinette on the terrace, but Eleanor hadn't. When they finally revisited the palace, they were shocked to find the grounds looked incredibly different. What they saw was how the palace was supposed to look present day, but somehow what they saw in August of 1901 was what the palace looked like over 100 years earlier. For several years, they tried to make sense of what they saw, researching the palace's history and trying to find a solution. Some people believe they somehow slipped back in time, while others think they might have experienced one of Marie Antoinette's memories. But to this day, no one really knows what happened. If this story seems interesting to you, check out My Dark Corner for the full episode. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the audio version is up on YouTube.
This is what they got locked away in the Forbidden Secret Archives. Something that took 12 world-renowned scientists to successfully record back in the 1950s, who are said to have been part of a classified project that created a device that can look into our past, which all came out in a book called The New Mystery of the Vatican, written in 2002 by Francois Brune, a priest who worked very closely with the Vatican, who was told by his colleague, Father Pellegrino Ernetti, a priest, monk, and exorcist, who was also a scientist, engineer, and lifelong scholar. Quite the decorated man, and a well-educated guy too, like he definitely wasn't a crackpot or anything. While the two were discussing interpretations of the Bible in the 60s, Ernetti claimed that he had seen exactly what happened in the book with his own eyes. Just a decade earlier, he was working on a project deciphering old Gregorian chants from tape recordings, when he seemingly heard the voice of the head priest's deceased father talking through the recorder. Like they tapped into a conversation he had decades ago when he was still alive. Captivated by the idea of capturing sounds from the past, Ernetti got together a group of scientists to work on a new project commissioned by the head priest, among whom was rumored to be Enrico Fermi, the father of the Fermi paradox and the creator of the world's first nuclear reactor, and Werner von Braun, a German aerospace engineer poached by the US who ended up as a key director during the foundation of NASA. Once again, quite well-educated individuals. Together, they worked on a machine called the chronovisor, capable of harnessing electromagnetic sound and light waves emitted from the past, and convert those signals into pictures and audio on a cathode ray monitor that allowed us to view the past on a TV screen. According to this work, light and sound continue to exist as residual energy long after the events that produce those lights and sounds have happened. And if we can somehow capture those waves and rearrange them in the sequence that they happened in, we can literally watch the past. Sounds impossible, right? Well, you actually kind of have your own version of a chronovisor at home that you use every single day. A mirror. When you look into a mirror, you're not actually seeing yourself as you are, but as you were fractions of a millisecond ago, due to the time it takes for the light to bounce off the mirror and into your eyes. When you look at the night sky, it's the same thing. The amount of time it takes for the light emitted by the stars to reach us on Earth means we're looking at them as they were hundreds of thousands, millions of years ago. We are seeing into the past. The chronovisor took this idea, but instead of distance, applied it to the fourth dimensional plane, observing light and sound emitted from a specific place and time. It used a series of special antennas to capture these waves and convert them to audio and video on a screen. A device that can view events from anywhere and any time in history on a TV monitor just by setting a date and location. Not exactly a time machine, but a time viewer. A project that Ernetti had been a part of since 1952. And he himself insisted to Francois Brune that he saw events like speeches by Napoleon and Mussolini, views of ancient Rome, even listened to famous unfinished plays by ancient Roman poets, only fragments of which existed at the time, and Ernetti wrote them out in full, which still exists today. But as religious scholars, what they were really interested in were biblical events like the final days of Jesus, the creation of the 10 Commandments and such. In the book, Ernetti is quoted as saying, "We saw everything, the agony in the garden, the betrayal of Judas, the trial, the crucifixion." But he knew people wouldn't believe him if he just told them about it, so he took pics. In the book, Brune shows the actual photos of Jesus' crucifixion and other historic events that Ernetti snuck photos of from the chronovisor. This one allegedly of Jesus getting crucified, and another one of him talking to his followers, which might actually just be low-resolution photos of this statue and that painting, questioning the legitimacy of these photos, but Brune insists the machine was real. One that could view any place from any point in time, including what you were doing in your room last night, all documented in Francois Brune's book, which even includes schematics of the device itself. Ernetti and his team presented the device to Pope Pius XII in the 50s, who immediately confiscated and dismantled it out of fear of getting into the wrong hands. Clearly, being able to spy on anyone who said anything at any time could be catastrophic if it got out. In 1972, an article even wrote about this device in an Italian magazine called La Domenica del Corriere, which for the record was a real magazine and not a satire paper, with the headline, "A machine that photographs the past has finally been invented," leading some to believe that the chronovisor wasn't destroyed, but was still being used by the church to control the masses. Stashed away deep in the Vatican archives, which not only do you need very special permission to access, but is also protected by armed guards and state-of-the-art security 24/7. Clearly all they have is a bunch of old writings down there, right? Then in 1988, the Vatican strangely passed a decree saying that anyone caught using such a device like the chronovisor would be excommunicated. Kind of a weird thing to say about a machine that was totally fake and just a rumor. Up until Ernetti passed away in 1994, he swore the chronovisor was real. Same with Brun, who along with his books about it also heavily wrote about quantum physics, which could potentially provide further explanations for such technology, until he passed more recently in 2019. Two highly respected, religious, and well-educated men that both insisted on the existence of a device that can peek into time, and that it actually hasn't been decommissioned, but rather hidden from the public and is still in use to this day.
If that machine is truly real, you know how crazy that would be? Oh my gosh. I feel like that'd be like a good tool to learn too. Like I feel like a lot of us could learn from what happened in the past. So it'd be good for viewing. But like at the same time, I don't even know if that's truly a real thing, because to me it's kind of like how would that work? You know what I'm saying? And if it does work, that means someone in the future probably has a crazier version of that and could probably come back to our reality with something. I don't know.
Rumors are swirling that Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston are having an affair, and that is the real reason that Michelle has been MIA. The real reason that she didn't attend Jimmy Carter's funeral, and the real reason that she's not attending the Trump inauguration. I had no idea that this is a rumor that's been going on since October, and that they were even on the cover of In Touch magazine. I guess I was too preoccupied with the presidential election, but I guess back in October, Jimmy Kimmel even asked Jennifer about it on his show. Watch this.
Do you ever worry about that? Like, for instance, like this is a magazine that came out a couple of weeks ago. In Touch said the truth about Jen and Barack.
That was of all the calls you get from your publicist where you're just like, oh no, what's it gonna be? Or the email saying, you know, some cheesy tabloid is gonna make up a story, and then it's that.
Yeah. Does your
I was not
publicist
mad
ever
at
go
it.
like, is there any truth to this? Or is it...
No, that is absolutely untrue.
Well, I know it's not true.
Yeah.
I just don't know if everybody knows.
Well, it is untrue.
Oh yeah, Jimmy, because we're all taking your word for it. Could it be possible that America's sweetheart could turn into a home-wrecking villain? Because we all know everybody would take Michelle's side. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Damn, all the great black men are getting exposed for cheating. Bro, they said LeBron was cheating. Now they said Obama's cheating. That's crazy, man. This is a bad look, y'all. I don't know. I feel like we should have been knew LeBron was cheating on his wife. Like, I'm sorry. He's a basketball player. Richest basketball player of all time. Hangs out with Drake and Diddy. Like, obviously this dude's cheating. Like, let's be real, bro. I'm sorry to break y'all hearts, but let's be... Damn, Obama. That's a bad look. But why did she come and say it was the Jennifer girl fault? Like, she's being the homewrecker. She is not the one that's married. I mean, I think they both have an affair. Like, I think it'd be like both of them stepping out. But at the same time, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? This is just my belief. It's like, if you're married, the person that's, let's say Jennifer is single, right? You know what I'm saying? Because everyone's like, yeah, we take Michelle's side. It's Jennifer's fault. Let's say Jennifer is single, right? Which is crazy because she does know that he's married. So it kind of can be her fault also. But like, in reality, it's the person that steps out of the marriage that should really get the blame. So you shouldn't blame Jennifer. You should blame Obama. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thoughts. But at the same time, you can also blame Jennifer because obviously she knows that this man is fucking married. I always want to blame the person that steps out, never the person that comes in. You know what I'm saying? To resist temptation. But that's just how it is nowadays. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments.
Thank you all for watching.